Good afternoon. Thank you, Nelson. Welcome to the September 22nd meeting of the Rotary Club of Milledgeville meeting. Please silence your cell phones, and Lacey is going to be our Rotarian of the day.
Good to see you. Everybody that was our heads, please. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to gather in Rotary Fellowship.
Damn, I didn't see him.
Talk with
You
friends.
hate the blind spot in this dead. That's the truth.
This is our journey through the day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands.
Now, four-way test. First, next, second, third, and last.
Is it fun? Thank you, Lacey. All right, as you sit down, please don't forget to empty your change into the cart buckets. And also remember, when you leave today, take your car cart cups back with you. A lot of them keep winding up
Say that
being
5 times fast.
stored in the closet, which is fine. I know I'm definitely one of the offenders. I keep forgetting to take the cup back to my car to fill up each week, but don't forget that. William is not here. Do we have any prayer requests? That is a very good thing. All right. Kristen is filling in for Greg today. Do we have any guests?
We do.
Your better half. Thank you, Patty.
And we have a visiting Rotarian that Brody from the cottages, who also is regional. Is that your title? Regional director. Regional director for the cottages. And
Yeah, so the college is owned by a group.
Shit, Taco Bell's closed.
They have 4 senior living communities and Kathy goes.
It moved somewhere.
Regional manager for all. She's out of Milledgeville. She is a member of
DQ,
Government County,
McDonald's.
was a former member of the Milledgeville Rotary.
Oh.
18 years ago.
Wow. Fantastic. Well, welcome, Kathy Jo. Thank you. All right.
Wendy's.
Any other?
You like Wendy's?
Fine.
All right, that'll work.
It's close.
No pressure, man.
okay. The last 4 numbers are 2, 6, 5,
Gas.
3.
Circle K right beside Wendy's.
All right, yeah.
No, it's
Meant to be.
2, 6, 5, 3.
yeah, that's a home.
You go. I did it last time.
Geez, Jennifer, it's loud.
Where are the cars? Right there.
They're over here.
We don't have a table. So.
Yeah.
What you want?
Oh, I haven't eaten here a long time. Did they have, let's see. Oh, they have that.
Getting closer.
salad.
Getting closer.
Got several. Parmesan Caesar, apple pecan.
Thank you, Kristen.
Southwestern avocado and
All right. Are there?
Southwestern
What?
avocado grilled chicken.
I take your order?
That'd be good.
okay.
You sort of have a prayer request?
Yeah, let me get the Southwest avocado salad.
And I was talking with
Anything else?
Yeah, let me get a
They are absolutely devastated. Rotary Club of San Juan is trying to do what. they
let me get a
can
number
do,
10
But so many of them all.
combo
their homes were destroyed and no
with a
water,
large
no
unsweet
electricity,
tea.
or they're all just constantly there.
That's it.
Thank you, Jan. Do we have any community announcements? Things going on? No?
Got an auction tomorrow night.
Oh, that's right.
Or,
Saturday night.
And
Yep.
one of the items is, what do you got for us, Jim? Good on.
Thank you, Wendell. I'm donating dinner for 6 in Rose Hill, prepared by me and my husband.
Yeah.
So, yes. Trying to be a good
You get that
alumni.
last part.
All right. Okay, let's see, under club business.
Give her 1 second, okay?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. back here.
Just an announcement, Pennsylvania Hospital will be sponsoring the night in the field. In other words, we're gonna open up the power bill, to the 100 house
Nice.
again.
Oh,
We're gonna have
nice.
hospital, content. We're gonna actually have different people from the school, the high school, following high school, that's gonna come there and support it with their, senior there to, put on costumes and try to scare the crap out of you.
Nice.
We're gonna have tractor ride, we're gonna do a bunch of things, right?
Oh,
And try to make
fantastic.
a big community event.
Awesome.
At the same time, we already.
Okay, so it's gonna be on Halloween.
It's gonna be the 23rd through the 28th. The 100 house is gonna be open on the 28th.
Okay, so 23rd to 28th, what are the times?
I'm gonna get back to you, I'm gonna have flyers.
Oh, good, even better. Good deal. That's exciting. Yeah, what's up?
So we just found out this week that on October first, our junior college football team was selected as the game of the week on ESPN Plus. JFC Bulldogs will be flying out to Utah, playing Stowe College at 3 p.m. So if you go to ESPN Plus at 3 p.m. October 1st, you'll be able to watch the Bulldogs play. 3 p.m. Eastern? It's 3 p.m. Eastern, yes.
Good point.
Awesome.
Fantastic. All right, what else? Anything else in the community? Yes.
That's not an announcement, it's just a general question. Has anyone heard from Ken Everhart lately?
I have not.
If you have his phone number, will you please give me address, and I want to reach out to him.
All right. Any other community announcements? Okay. In club business, the board met on Tuesday, and just an update on the items that were voted on. So remember how in the past, we have been asked to purchase turkeys for the dinners in November, and part of you buying the turkeys, it goes to your Paul Harris Fellow. We're changing it a little bit this year. This year, Rotary Club is paying for all the turkeys. So you don't have, there are no out-of-pocket expenses for you for that. However, if you would like to still make a donation to that project and it will go towards your Paul Harris Fellow, we're accepting donations of $100, and you can see Carla for that, who is not here today. So any questions on that? It's a little different this year. And we are also doing the adopt a family or adopt a child at Christmas. Dr. Price is gathering the details on that for us. So be thinking about what you and your family might want to do. Let's see, Jan told us a few weeks ago that we are getting an Interact club started at the local high school. Yay! And we have, the board voted that we are going to purchase the membership kits for the first 20 members of the Interact Club. We are also going to buy name badges for, but it's not name badges, it's just badges for the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and the teacher who's the sponsor. So that way they can use the tags each year and don't have to order new ones. So that's how we are going to be supporting them. And their first meeting is going to be next week, September 28th, 3:30 to 4:30. So if anybody would like to attend that meeting, talk to Jan. In addition to the speech contest that we do every year, this year we're also adding we're participating in the Rotary essay contest. Jay Woocher is leading this charge for us. It is a prized program, and we are going to spend $300, which is the first place prize for all three high schools. So Baldwin High School, GMC, and John Milledge. And then the high schools can do whatever they want as far as like second place prizes for the other students, but we're going to pay for the top prize at each school. That's the only big stuff that was voted on at the board meeting. Are there any questions? Cool. All right, other club business. What are we doing next week?
We're going to Kristen's house.
Good job. We are not here next week. We do not come here at lunch next week. Just only come if you just want to have lunch at Aubrey Lanes. Next week, our meeting will be at 5:30 at Kristen's house. It is 3653 Sussex Drive. It's basically right across the street. And it's from 5:30 to Cheros. Kyle has given us the food for that. Please bring your families, children, spouses, probably four-legged kids as well. I'm sure Kristen does not mind. If the weather's good, the pool is open, the pool is heated. So I'll ask again, what are we doing next week? We're going swimming. That's right. Good answer. All right. I'll remind you again, and I'll send you an email next week to remind you, but don't come here. All right. Our speaker today really doesn't need much of an introduction in this community, but we are going to allow our friend Jack to make a formal introduction.
How's everybody doing? You know, sometimes in life we're all so fortunate from time to time to meet incredible people. And our speaker, Bill Caldwell, is one of these individuals. Bill, and I think this community is so fortunate to have Stephanie and Bill leading the community in the way that they do. I'm going to regress for a second. When I graduated from the Citadel, I studied accounting and finance. And when I fell in love with my wife, I moved to Macon. I went to work for Mullen & Jenkins, a large CPA firm in Macon. And they put me on the audit at GMC back in 83, 84. And they did that because I was the only person at Mullen & Jenkins that knew what a gig line was. And for everybody, that was it. And that is not a gig line. Yeah. So I did the audit. I worked on audit, and back then I got to tell you that anybody that's from Milledgeville and that knows what was going on at GMC back then knows that the school didn't look anything like it does today. So Bill and the prior president did a lot to make those changes, and it's incredible what's going on. But our speaker today is a 1976 West Point grad who's had multiple command positions. Such as he commanded the 82nd Airborne Division. He commanded he was the commanding general of the NATO training mission for the international soldiers for the Afghan war. Bill's been president of GMC for this November, it'll be 13 years. Under his leadership, the prep school has now goes from kindergarten through high school, which is incredible. And the value, I've gotten involved at GMC, and the value that this school provides to the kids, I mean, it's a great deal. It's incredible. And a lot of these kids get scholarships to go. And that has a lot to do with Bill's leadership and what's happened with the foundation. GMC serves almost 12,000 students. That includes the prep school, the junior college, the colleges around the state, as well as the online program. There are 3,300 students, high school students, in the dual program where they can graduate from high school and also graduate with an associate's degree. GMC offers multiple associate degrees as well as multiple four-year degrees. Incredible. And what I love about being involved at GMC most of all is with my experience of being a graduate of Benedictine Military School and the Citadel is the pillars that GMC stands on. Duty, honor, country, character above all, because that really resonates with me. So anyway, with that, I'd like to introduce Bill.
I probably, first of all, let me just say thanks everybody for allowing me to be here. I probably need to clarify, when Jack said 13 years, what he meant was I came in 2013. So, you know, if you do the math, it's about 9 years. So I just want to make sure. But anyway, we absolutely love being here in Milledgeville. I will tell you that it's a great place to be. Let me just start off by saying I'm really excited to be here today. When I was trying to figure out, you know, how I got invited to be here, you know, Stephanie reminded me, she goes, well, they probably know you really give short remarks. And that's kind of probably why they invited you. So, you know, I've got my wife being very supportive of me, encouraged me along the way. But then I called Nelson and I called Jeff and I said, hey guys, you know, what do you think I need to say at Rotary? You know, they want me to talk about world peace. You know, my son always goes, world peace, Dad, world peace. He does it all the time. You know, every time something starts happening in the home. And so I said, what do you think I should talk about? And you know, Nelson in his great form says, just remember the 3 Bs. If you use the 3 Bs, that's what we believe in, the Rotarians. And I said, the 3 B's. He goes, yeah, just be brief, be brilliant, and then be gone. I said, Nelson, I'm feeling really warm and fuzzy now. I got you and Stephanie said, give me all these great ideas. I'm feeling really good about today. So this would be awesome. Anyway, I did want to tell you, when I did a little research on the club, I do realize that this is your 85th year of existence. So the big anniversary for the 85 years that Rotarians here in Milledgeville established this chapter and have been really making a difference, not only locally in the community here, but worldwide with all the other Rotarians. And I just thought, my gosh, the time, the treasure, and the talent that Rotarians here have put forth to serve other people is really special. It's what it's all about. I spent 37 years in the Army, as going in many different places of the world. And each time we were sent, it was to establish peace. It was to help an area that was in conflict, reduce the level of conflict, and look for an opportunity to change the dynamics where things existed. And so when I had the opportunity to talk to Rotarians, and again, 37 years moving around the United States and overseas, went to many different Rotarian clubs, and the idea of service, before self, really resonates with us. Most of us who signed up to serve in any kind of first responder or medical field, it's all about serving somebody else. You don't go into it with the idea that I'm going to be served. You actually go into it with the idea, like those who put a uniform on, whether it be law enforcement, whatever it is, firefighters, it's about serving somebody else. And so the fact that Rotarians do that and have done it for so long is actually very, very special. So world peace. Today is that day we all pause for a minute. We take a moment to reflect on and think about world peace and what does it mean to us. I started thinking about, well, what is peace? Well, everybody in this room is going to have a definition of what peace means. There's some of us who will say, well, peace is when things are going well between my spouse and I at home, or where between myself and my children, or maybe it's with that colleague that you work with who's very difficult, challenging, never happy, always disgruntled, has nothing good to say, but you have to work with him or her every day of the week. And it's always just really hard. So what is peace? What does it really mean? I think for many of us, when we think of peace, when we think of world peace, we think of it's the idea that, like Rotarians have done, you've eradicated, when you think about polio in the world, there's so many great adventures that have been undertaken by Rotarians and reducing illiteracy, reducing hunger, reducing disease across the world, that Rotarians really have just made an enormous impact and difference. And as we keep moving forward, those are things we want to keep doing. But what about today? What else today on World Peace Day, as we stop to reflect and think about it, can we think about? And that's where I just really wanted to, just for a second, talk about that, because 10 years ago, when we did move into this community and I started working over Georgia Military College, learned a lot of new things. I learned everybody owns a gun. We didn't own one, so we had to get a gun. I learned that everybody listens to Western country music. I had no idea. People would start talking to me about some, artist, and I had no idea who the person was. I may have heard some music by them, but I could not connect the name and the face at all. But I've actually gotten a little better nowadays. And I was listening to a country Western song just the other day called "Most People Are Good." Luke Bryan. I think most of y'all know Luke Bryan. I shouldn't say most of you do. I'm making the assumption everybody's listening to country Western. My son listens to it all the time. My college kid, as he tells me, Dad, it's all about, what country music is like. Stephanie gets so upset when every time I mention it, but it's all about, having fun and, girls and relationships and all that kind of stuff for them. But anyway, I was listening to it, and his song is titled "Most People Are Good." And when you look at the lyrics and go through it, it really does give you a sense of hope that if everybody in the world Peace Day, would take and embrace that kind of attitude, that philosophy, that most people are good. He goes in there and he says, I believe, and again, he's got, all these country Westerns have no English at all. Any English teacher would just have a hard heyday with them. I believe we gotta forgive and make amends. And I believe today on World Peace Day is probably an excellent time when, yep, we do want to eradicate illiteracy, we want to eradicate disease. We want to help those who are really less fortunate than what we have here in America today. But maybe there's a time too now, as we look at how things are going in the world in the United States, that we all need to ask ourselves, does Luke Bryan have it about right? Do we need to take the approach, most people are good? And could there be something we could learn out of his lyrics where he says, we got to forgive and make amends? Because things have gotten challenging out there. You know, have we lost the ability to really dialogue and communicate with one another? Have we taken an approach and always made the assumption about other people before we actually sit down and talk? When we do sit down and talk, do we actually take the time to listen and try to understand? I think some of what we're seeing in the world today, what we're seeing in America today, even sometimes in our own community, is because people have lost the art of listening. We've lost the art of taking, as Luke Bryan says, people are good, that there is goodness in people. Each of us are very different. Each of us are very special. God didn't make any two of us alike. And in doing so, that means we're going to have just inherently different ways of looking at doing things. You know, if I go out to have a meal with Nelson Kraft, he wants to drink beer all night long. You know, I can't even stand that. You know, I just want a nice little glass of red wine. But I mean, I understand that that's how he was brought up, wherever he's from in Ohio or whatever it is. That's what they do in Ohio. They drink beer. You know, but I mean, everybody has some unique difference in way, but I can look at him and understand that. And because I will appreciate it, it's okay. It's fine if that's how he wants to eat and drink with his meal. You know, we're just different. And there's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't have to drink a glass of red wine because I do, nor do I have to have a glass of beer because he wants a glass of beer. But we somehow have lost that art of communication and understanding and appreciating the differences that exist amongst all of us out there. And so, again, I go back to the idea, service above self. We Rotarians, you Rotarians have always embraced that and taken that on. It's what makes you so special. You have always understood and have demonstrated that ability to do that across the world. And the collective strength of all the Rotarians coming together really makes a difference. But I think sometimes individuals can start to feel like, what difference can I make? What can one person make? We did a very interesting study in our church about 2 years ago where you went out and each day tried to do one good deed and just record it. And then you came back and after a week of doing it, ask yourself, how did it make you feel? The impact that it had on so many people when you deliberately go out and try to be good and try to help somebody else is enormous. So on World Peace Day, the day that we all stop and reflect, I would say everything Rotarians are doing is having an enormous positive impact. It's wonderful. And if we can get everybody to join in that and take that same approach with communications, with dialogue, with talking, with demonstrating civility towards each other, with appreciating and understand that we all are different. We're never going to be exactly the same, nor should we want ourselves to be. But we do have to show respect and dignity to everybody. You know, Luke Bryan goes on in his song and he talks about that, about the fact that we should love people for who they are and recognize that we're not all the same and that we are different, and that's okay. And so anyway, my message today on World Peace is, I know that we, Georgia Military College, are making a real effort to double down on and start to instill more civility into our students and tell them that, listen, there's nothing probably more important today, right now, that we can send you forth into the world with is a skill set than being civil and listening to each other and having a dialogue and respecting that there will be difference of opinions. And two people who think very, very differently can still get along and have a great time. I still don't mind being around Nelson. I really don't. You know. So anyway, I just want to share that message today, and I just want to tell you all, thanks for letting me come in here and join you on your 85th anniversary. Happy birthday to you all. Thank you.
In your honor, a book will be donated to the local library, and I would like for you to autograph it for us with one of these pens, and you get to choose which one you like, and you get to keep it. These are hand,
By signing a book, I did.
yeah. It's handmade by one of our Rotarians, who unfortunately is not with us today, but yeah, he does a beautiful job. So you can sign.
All right.
And
Well, Bill, that was pretty quick, I gotta tell you.
sitting here thinking about, we got Tom to do happy
No,
dollars.
that's what he told me, you know, he was great. I'm not sure I really get it, but I'm being gone.
He can follow.
Nelson, I thought it was brilliant.
Hey, you know, I know why I brought you two guys along. Thank you.
Well, you guess you got a couple questions?
Sure.
All right,
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
As long as they don't cover Jordan College.
yeah, that's right. All right.
Fantastic. Keep it.
Joe Caldwell, just I'd love, your 37 years, I'd love you to let us know how many places you have lived during that time and how many tours and all that. I'm very interested in that. I actually, we had dinner together when I was in UC Pembroke, when he was commanding the 82nd, and that's probably 25 years ago, I'm guessing. I don't know, yeah, 20 years ago. I don't know.
That's
I think it'd be interesting for all of us to know how many places you've been over the next 37 years, and all of them stories, all of them ex-military have stories. Could you please share that with us, if you recall?
Yeah, no, I can, you know, I can almost just start.
Yeah, please.
So 37 years, I started off, obviously at Fort Benning, Georgia, like everybody does who's infantry. And spent my initial time there. Then I went to the 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And I'd spent 5 years there, finished there, and they'd send me to Fort Knox, Kentucky. And I'd go to a school in Fort Knox, Kentucky, to which they then sent me to Germany. And I would serve in Germany for 3 years. I'd come back from there, and they would send me to the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. If you've never been to Monterey, California, I mean, it is a beautiful area. They sent me out there for 18 months to get a graduate degree at the school there. Then they sent me from California to Kansas. So you see, they're really mixing it up, you know. I'm hanging out with those craft friends out there at the Oktoberfest all the time. And then they sent me, all the way out to California and back to Kansas. And I spent time in, and then I went back to the 82nd Airborne. And my tours each time in the 82nd were always 3 to 5 years long. So I'd go back to the 82nd Airborne Division. And while there, we'd end up deploying to Panama for the invasion of Panama. When we parachuted in down there to changed over the administration, and come back for about 9 months, and then I'd go spend a year in Saudi Arabia and Iraq with Desert Shield and Storm. I came back from that, and they sent me to Washington, D.C. to work in the White House for 18 months. I finished that tour and then got to go to Hawaii. Spent a couple years in Hawaii in different jobs, where I ended up traveling all over the Pacific. It was actually a fascinating job. I was the a battalion commander, and they literally allowed me to take American soldiers to Japan, to Thailand, to Indonesia. I mean, we went all over the Pacific, Korea, and we do everything from 10 days to a month or so, doing training events, exercises. I finished there. They sent me back to Boston, where I did a Kennedy School in Harvard for school. And then I went to Fort Drum, New York. Did time up in Fort Drum, New York. Spent time there, loved it. And then I actually got sent to it. It's ready to decide that nobody ever wants to go to. And I went down there for 2 years. But my payback was I got to go back to Hawaii. So I'm back in Hawaii, and I had a great job where my job was to travel and represent the 4-star. I was a 2-star at the time, all over the Pacific, and so I loved it. First, I was a assistant division commander in Army Division there, which is a great job, and transferred to another job. Each time though, they made me move houses,
Right.
because I'm in government housing, so the job gets a house.
Gotcha.
And so when you leave that job, you gotta get out of the house. And then they make you go to another house. And so we were uprooted a lot. As Stephanie said, she never lived more than a year and a half anywhere for about her first 10 years. So
Where
then,
did you pick her up along the way?
oh, I was at Fort Drum, New York, and Stephanie had come out of ministry, and was an associate pastor at church in Columbus. And my dad went to that church, my brother went to that church, my sister went to that church. And they all decided that I didn't need to be single anymore, I need to get married. And I was the only one who could drag Stephanie into the family, because everybody else was married. And so I was there again, one more time, I'm the last resort. So they ended up setting us up on it. And I picked her up. So I was at Fort Drum, New York, so she went to Washington, DC for the first 2 years, then to Hawaii. You know, she's going, you know, this Army life is not bad. I'm in Hawaii. You know, I think I'll sign up for this today. But then I took her back to the Pentagon. And then after that, we would go to Fort Bragg, and I've been in command of the division, which was great. Finished that, and then they'd send me to Afghanistan for another deployment. Come back from that, go back to Fort Kansas, Kentucky, Fort Leavenworth, Kentucky, Kansas. At Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, I'd be there almost 3 years, longest assignment we ever had in the Army career. And I ran Army education and training, which was a great job. I absolutely loved it. It was wonderful. Then I'd go from there to Afghanistan for 2 more years. Finish that up and go down to San Antonio, Texas, and command down there. So yeah, I mean, anybody who's been in the Army knows that. I mean, we all do that. You know, if you ask Nelson or Jeff or anybody to stand up, they would bounce you all over the world. But like I said, the longest I ever lived in England was 2.5 years. And my dad also served, so he did 33 years. So my entire life I moved around as Army, they call Army brat. And then his dad did 37 years in the Army. So, you know, I don't think any of us ever had a real home. We just ended up calling Columbus, Georgia. I was born there, my dad was stationed there. My mom was from there, so when they retired, we went back there. So we picked up Columbus.
So I just counted, not counting your deployments, I counted 16 stops. Yeah, when you said that, not counting the deployments. So, which was, you know, so that's just amazing. I just want to thank you and all of our military for, you know, we sitting in here right now, nobody's trying to kill us because of what you guys do. That's appreciate it.
What is interesting, the commitment the military makes. You know, you watch what happened in Afghanistan, and there's a lot of us who came back out of that. Just, really just point of time, effort, energy, commitment, people's lives that were given, and to watch it just fall back like it is, it's really heartbreaking. Because we actually thought we were making a difference. We really believed in what we were doing, and so it's just heartening, to say the least, see what's going on.
Frank McKenzie's a friend of mine. He's a civil brat. And Ken McKenzie.
Right.
And he was the commanding general that had to get us out of Afghanistan. And you know, he's told us, he went to the president and said, this president, this mistake. This is not going to go over well. But he had to follow his commander in chief. And that's who made the ultimate decision.
Yeah, the thing that was just put out Afghanistan was, I think we believed we had put them on a right course. You know, Nelson and I did another tour together in Afghanistan, working side by side each other for a year. And we really believed we were making a difference. There was hope for that country. But we knew it'd take a long time. Even, you know, when I was talking to the media and stuff during the time period I was there, I'd say, look, this is 25, 40 years. I mean, look at Korea. We're still in Korea today. Look at Germany. We're still in Germany today, you know, following conflicts. And so those who think we can just pop in, stir it up for 5, 10 years, and pop out, stuck in everlasting. It takes a partnership.
Yeah. Thank you.
Other questions? Rudy?
I'm not asking your political stance, but you work for a lot of different administrations as your ultimate boss. Do you have a favorite one that you spend time underneath or?
I would tell you, when I was in the White House, I did what's called the White House Fellowship. I applied for it. That has nothing to do with the military, but they allow military to apply for it. And I got picked, and it was Bush at 41, so the senior. And then what happens, you go to this thing, and then they place you somewhere in Washington from some department or agency. And I was trying to go to Veterans Affairs or NASA or something like that, to work for a retired military type person. So I have, comfortable area that I know everything kind of with. And instead, the lady who was in charge of me says, okay, you've never worked for a woman in your life, right? I said, no, I haven't. This is 1991. And she goes, so have you ever had women in your organization for the last 13 years? I said, no, I never have, just men. She goes, okay, I've got a great job for you. And so I went to work for a lady named Bobby Kilburg, who was fabulous to work. She was fascinating, very sharp, bright woman who worked in the White House. And so it was an office called Public Liaison. And so our job was to advocate on behalf of the president. And again, you go into the program being apolitical. You're not supposed to. The idea is, even if you are not with that administration, it doesn't matter. You go in and work for whomever you're assigned to. And so I went into the White House to work for Bobby Kilburg, and I was given constituent groups that I was responsible. So, they made me come out of, I had to wear my hair long, I had to wear suits every day. Bush 41 was very, very particular. You didn't wear a coat and tie, you wore a suit. And your hair would be a certain length, cut to a certain, it was like being in the military almost, except the other way, and, which I found real interesting. But I would have to go in and brief him. These are 30-second, minute and a half briefs. But on a pretty routine basis, every 2-3 weeks before an event, I was responsible for assistant hosting and then I worked the advance party during the campaign. Because, that was the time period he didn't win, but I ended up staying and helping on the campaign. So I got detached from the U.S. military and assigned to the White House because you can't do that kind of stuff as a military person. So I was totally detached. Anyway, so every time I entered, he could not have been more gracious, more kind, more thoughtful. And the way he treated people with such enormous respect and dignity, I truly admired him. You look at his career, director of CIA, World War II fighter pilot, he's done everything. But even with all that, his humility and his gentleness of dealing with people, even when we messed something up, and we did a couple times, or when we're working in advance, things are going fast in the campaign, and he's flying in, we've been there for 3 days, and all of a sudden the electricity doesn't work, and the podium's not set, the speaker goes out, and where's the 3 people I'm supposed to shake hands with at 9:27 that are each gave me X amount of dollars in political campaign, that we're supposed to be here, and why didn't they get the pictures within 24 hours? And every time we had messed something up, we just, okay, let's get it right. So I absolutely loved working for that guy. And again, put policies aside, I was looking at the personality. Do they treat everyone with, respect and dignity, grace, humility? And he did. He really did. Now, I was around a lot of other presidents because of the jobs. Nelson can tell you, I VTC'd in with the president of the United States every quarter from Afghanistan. So I did about 8 or 9 times into the situation room and had to deal with the president. And my other job, one for the Deputy Secretary of Defense, was getting ready to invade Iraq. I was always in the White House with him, briefing the president about the upcoming war, what we were going to do, and why we were going to attack. And then when it happened, the briefings thereafter. So I was around a lot of the other presidents, not as a lead, but as a support person, and was able to watch and observe. So I got to see 4 different presidents up close. 41, by far the best, no question.
Other questions? No? All right, well, Phil, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, one thing I forgot to share with y'all about the board meeting is just the totals from the food drive. You guys knocked it out of the park. Our goal was 250 pounds of food. We donated 347 pounds. Even though he's not here, a huge thank you to Greg for coordinating all of that. He measured it. He told us in the board meeting how he measured bags of socks, how he weighed them. He had to stand on his scale with the bag of socks and then just weigh himself and subtract the difference because his scale wouldn't recognize just the bag of socks. So it was a whole thing. So anyway, Patty and Kathy Jo, thank you so much for visiting with us today. I hope you'll come back again. And what are we doing next week? Kristen's, we're going swimming. That's right. All right. And I thought it was appropriate that today's quote was from our own Paul Harris. He said, "I have no hesitation in saying that world peace could be achieved and made permanent if reared on Rotary's firm foundation of friendliness, tolerance, and usefulness." All right, go make a difference.